because what's Sheriff Page is going to discuss is secure communities, and that's what everybody has except those 287G sites. And he will explain how that works, and they are not assigned. You have officers that you can call that are assigned to your county area.
One last question, for now. Does ICE have its own holding facilities? I'm just not familiar with that at all. Or they use the county facility?
No, sir, and I say no, sir, I'm sure, I don't think they have their, well, I know they don't have their own, because that's why they're trying to contract with sheriffs across the nation to have, to become a 287G holding facility. You have to guarantee them, I think it's 50 beds is what it was, wasn't it, Eddie? I think it's 50 beds. Alamance County is 100 stuff.
Okay.
If I understand, sort of go along with what you said, in order to get 287G, you have to designate a certain number of beds. And is it my understanding that when someone is processed and identified under the 287G program, the federal government then picks up the cost of their incarceration?
Once they roll over into ICE custody and their state charges are disposed of and they roll over in ICE custody, then the clock starts on them paying the local agency.
Okay, President Starnes?
Thank you. Well, what happens to criminals who find to be here illegally? I assume then, are they turned over to the immigration authorities, or do they have, or does the court proceeding work its way through forward before they're turned over to immigration?
Now, what happens, once their charges in the state is taken care of or disposed of, they roll over into ICE custody. If they are federal violations that ICE has charged them with that time, of course, the county starts getting paid, but then when they're disposed of in federal court, then they are deported or they're taken from our jail. That's all I can tell you. ICE is very, I won't say very quiet on what it, but it's none of our business once they leave our facility.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the process. Let's assume you stop someone and he's charged with drunk driving.
Okay.
There's a North Carolina charge. It's determined that he's illegal, here illegally, so he's turned over to the immigration authorities. So then, do they come back and are they held in the court system for that charge, or does immigration just take them and then process them as an illegal immigrant before the charges are ever?
All right, I take him in, or he's taken into custody, brought in our jail for, say, DWI. He's charged with DWI, immigrate, and our people process and find him to be here illegally. The immigration officer, federal immigration officer, puts we put a detainer with ICE on this individual. Once, and then he waits, goes through his trial. Once he is tried and his sentence is done, then automatically ICE has custody of him. It may be in Alamance County, they may stay in our facility until ICE can get them to the immigration court, or they wade their way back to their own country, or they are charged federally. So that's ICE, they're technically in our custody when they're in our jail, but ICE has control over them once they roll over into ICE custody.
Well, you're going to have to, I'm in the beginner school when it comes to the court system. So, all right, let's say if a person here illegally is charged with a crime, you say he goes through the North Carolina court system, let's say he's sentenced for 1 year in jail.
Okay.
Are you saying then that he can, then waive his rights and request to be sent back to his home country?
He sure can, but...
So that he doesn't have to serve that year?
No, he has to pull whatever state time the judge gives him, but the time he pulls his last day, ICE has custody of him. And he'll go back to his home country.
So that in his charge of breaking the North Carolina law will go through the court system and he will serve that sentence before he's given over to the feds?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But a lot of times, and I certainly can't speak for the judges, but I'm sure a lot of times because an individual a detainer is put on him for deportation and a chance to go back, they may shorten that sentence or give them time served for the time they stayed in jail. There's a lot of things that could play out, but that's played out every day in the court system, not just for immigrants or illegal aliens, but everything.
Any further questions?
Good question.
Okay, I understand you want to introduce Sheriff Page. He stepped out for a minute. So,
Sure.
I guess,
Wait for the other to come in.
okay, Representative
Wait for them to come in. Dealing with what you're dealing with, Sheriff, Starnes was working on something, but he didn't finish up with it. There's no agreement, if I commit a crime in America, there's no agreement to allow that person to serve time in the country of their origins.
No, sir. State, especially on, so I can't speak for federal. I'm sure it is in federal, but in the state courts, I don't know of any.
I think in the beginning, you mentioned that the Alamance candidate, they're going to serve the time. Does that imply that, and I go back to Representative Starr's question, I think, can the county dispose of the charges so that they can be expedited or extradited out?
I mean, that was what was happening initially, and that's where a lot of people really started raising the king. Because a lot of, and I say a lot, several counties where once an individual was charged and the ICE detainer put on, they went into court and it was dismissed the charges. Well, that took the teeth out of what ICE, the reason ICE had for the deportation process.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I think, that, of course, I can't speak for all the counties, but if an individual is charged, he should go through the system and then be turned over to ICE when that sentence or whatever is voted.
Answer questions, Representative Pierce.
Oh, yes, sir, thank you.
Okay, we get this. Mr. Page is here, Sheriff Page is back, so. Okay, this is, Sheriff Sam Page, Rockingham County. I believe he also the president, the chairman of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. Sheriff Page.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and also committee members, thank you. It's an honor and pleasure to be able to come before you today. The great thing about today is I'm going to have an opportunity to repeat what I said last week with Congress. Last week I had a chance to speak with the House Judiciary Committee on Immigration, dealing with secure communities. And the question asked is secure communities working? Now, Sheriff Johnson is a hard act to follow, and I think he's answered most of my questions, so that's most of my comments, so I'll try to move forward. The Secure Communities Program, very simply speaking, was a program designed by ICE to help take the serious criminal offender, illegal alien, off the streets, working with our local jails. In about 2009, the North Carolina Sheriff's Association became involved with the Immigration Project, and about four North Carolina counties became involved working with secure communities. At that time, we didn't have any other access to the immigration print database. As we got in October about 2010, my county and some more counties came on board with the Secure Communities Program. And we continue, this is the history, then we continue, and as of March of 2011, all 100 counties all participate in the Secure Communities Immigration Program. The main goal of Secure Communities is to help our jails, to be able to better identify persons that are arrested, keyword arrested, brought into our jails, and then when they're determined to be illegal, we provide that data and information to immigration so they can do their job. So it's a partnership with immigration. Now, what Whitten said today real good, as I said in Congress last week, was immigration hasn't done a very good job explaining these programs to the public, to the citizens we serve. But they're very good programs. As a sheriff working in law enforcement, for 13 years as sheriff, and over 30 years in law enforcement, I see this as a great tool for law enforcement. And I support programs that help us to do our job better. When a person is arrested and committed to our jail, the arrestee is interviewed, and again, if it's determined that person was not born in the United States, that person's prints are queried against the IAPA system, which is the national system, and the IDENT system, which is the immigration print database. And it's automated, so that once you run one, it goes against the other. To see if that person has been in the system before, to help us try to identify who that person is, and we usually get called a hit confirmation. We usually get that information back in 20 minutes or less, so it's a pretty quick process. During that process where we're interviewing, and we don't have an ICE agent assigned to us, I have staff that are trained how to do the computer systems and relay this information to ICE, but once they start that process, they make a phone call to the ICE agent, and then they set up an interview, a phone interview with the person that's arrested with the ICE agent. ICE then makes a determination whether to issue a federal detainer or not. Now, if they issue a federal detainer and the person's under bond, say a family member comes in and posts that person's bond, then we have to call ICE. ICE has 48 hours to pick that person up that's in custody, except on a weekend or holiday. But they have 48 hours to pick them up. If a detainer is not placed on that person, I want you to understand, not everybody that's arrested is placed on a federal detainer by ICE. So if the person doesn't have a federal detainer, he just has a bond, then when that person posts bond, he's released from our facility, as Sheriff Johnson's already said. As a sheriff in North Carolina, a sheriff in the United States, I made this comment. I run a jail last week in Congress. The most important thing that I can do to protect my citizens is being able to have the ability to know who's being arrested, placed in our jails, and who we are releasing back into our communities. Secure communities gives that ability to do that, as with 287G. It helps us to better understand, know, identify who's in our jails, because if we do release that person, we want to make sure that person is not wanted by anybody else, whoever that person may be. I have a little information that I provided last week also, and I consider the successes. We've been underway for about 13 months with the Secure Communities program. As of today, we've arrested 60, or we've had 60 persons that have been arrested, brought to our facility in process, that are determined to be illegal and are being held. 49, prior to today, 49 out of 58 persons were placed on federal detainer out of 58. 36 of those persons were picked up by ICE. 10 persons that were picked up by ICE over the past 13 months left and came back. So we do have some repeat offenders that got rearrested. So that tells me also that persons that ICE pick up, not all are being committed to a temporary detention facility by ICE. Some are being released on their own recognizance. 25 were released, 25 were arrested out of 58 were arrested for DWI offenses. 4 were for assault on females, domestic. And one person was charged with attempted murder. Out of those 58 persons, 56 were from Mexico. 1 was from Honduras. 1 was from Guatemala. I don't know what the last 2 were, 59 and 60. I didn't have that information today, but other than the number. But these are people that are in our community that are committing criminal offenses, that are coming to our jails, and now we can identify these persons and check them against the multiple database to better identify who they are before we release them either for ICE or back into the community. And that's pretty much the Secure Communities program. We've got an attachment, and you probably got this handout. It's got some information of people that have been arrested and identified in our jail systems that were connected to criminal offenses. I have one that was included in here, and it was ran in Dick Triad, a local paper. Isidro Valente, he was charged a few months ago, back in the summer, with assaulting his wife. Nearly cut her fingers off, beat her severely, trying to kill her. We have to locate him, take him into custody. My officers investigated this. Take him into custody, process him through Secure Communities. He's being held awaiting trial for attempted murder. And she's receiving support from our domestic violence investigators, from our advocates to deal with victims of domestic violence, and she's getting the support she needs in the circumstances here. But that's just one case. Sheriff Johnson has listed other cases around the state of North Carolina where we've used 287G program effectively, and also the Secure Communities program. Ask the question, does Secure Communities work? Yes. Is it a good program? Yes. Is it a perfect program? I've never seen a perfect program in 30 years in law enforcement or in the military. But it's a good program, it's a good tool, it helps us. I thank you for the opportunity to give you a short version. I'm prepared to answer your questions.